So, it didn't take long for me to make this video, but here we are. It turns out that people aren't actually that keen on Forza's new upgrade system. I released my video a day or two ago, talking about my first impressions, whether or not I thought Forza Motorsport was a good game, and my overall consensus was I thought it was a decent racing title. Now, will it thrive and survive on PC? That's another question or debate entirely. Today, I want to talk about the upgrade system, purely the upgrade system and the progression system in Forza Motorsport. There have been a lot of comments, some that have been ridiculously critical to the point where it just seems overly harsh, but then some that are genuinely fair concerns, criticisms, and ways that you can fix the issue. Now, it's obvious you're going to compare games such as Forza to its main competitor, which would be something to the likes of Gran Turismo. And the way that Gran Turismo sort of goes about progression in a game, I do think is a much better way of going about it, where you start off with nothing, you get a couple of thousands to buy a car in a second-hand dealership, you get that car, you do some races and you sort of level up, you got the driving schools. There's loads of different avenues in Gran Turismo for you to sort of go down, get money, and it's just more variety in terms of what you have for career mode content, as well as the multiplayer section. Now, Forza only has career and multiplayer, and rivals, I suppose. But in terms of racing, you literally only have career and multiplayer. In terms of other game modes, there are very, very limited amounts of other ways you can play this game. In terms of how you get the parts on your car, in case you aren't aware or you haven't watched my last video, I'll leave a link on screen for you somewhere now. The way it works is that the more you drive about in your car, the more levels that you will get. So you hit an apex, you get 10 XP for your car. You drive fast down a straight line, 10 XP. Basically, stick to the racing line and drive around a track, you'll get levels for that car. Now, I think AR12 Gaming, Nick, did a video basically showing if you want to abuse this system, use the driving features that are used for people who are visually impaired or may have sort of disabilities. So it's a shame that we have to sort of abuse and manipulate the game in its systems that it's made and catered for a different demographic. We are having to use these features to just play the game. Well, we're not even playing the game. The whole video showcases the car driving around a track on its own. And I totally get it. I totally understand you want to get those levels for your cars. But this begs us back to the main question. How can we fix the Forza upgrade system? Because fundamentally, whilst I didn't think it was too bad, I had only played about 20 hours of the game, and I'd only used about 2 or 3 different sort of cars. I used, obviously, other cars in free play, but in the campaign, I'd only used about 2 or 3 cars. And now that I've played it for about another 10 hours or so, it's really dawning on me how much it actually is slowing down or affecting my progress of the game. So, in case you're unaware, you have to get your car to level 50. You can only get upgrades for your car depending on the level that you are. So if you want to do a drivetrain swap, or I think an engine swap, you've got to be like around the level 40, level 50. And that is a fair few hours of game time that you have to spend investing into that vehicle. And if you want to do that again for another car, you have to do the same amount of time. So, how can we fix this? How can we make this system better? Well, first things first, I don't think the system is that bad. We've wanted progression in Forza for some time, and I think the idea of leveling up a vehicle isn't bad in concept. Don't come at me now with pitchforks and knives. But I think the way that this game, if it wants to have a progression system, should be each car class has its own individual level system. Four-door saloons, LMP cars, sports cars, hypercars, they've all got a level cap. You drive one car in that category, that levels up all of those cars in that specific class. I straight away think that would help, because you're already massively dividing the amount of workload that you've got to do to level up all these vehicles by more than half. But then obviously level 50 is quite some time, and there's quite a lot of different classes in the game. So maybe bring that level barrier down to, I don't know, 30? So I think, just saying it now, cards on the table, that is the best way, in my opinion, I could come up with a better alternative to fix this issue whilst keeping the leveling up system. Max the leveling cap at 30 and make it so that it's not levels for each car, but for each car class, each category, as I mentioned, saloons, sports cars, etc. Therefore, I think it gives you an incentive to drive those vehicles, and you will upgrade every single one of those vehicles. And naturally, whilst you play the campaign, you're going to be dipping your toes into loads of different car categories to racing. So you're naturally going to be progressing and leveling up these vehicles as you progress through the game. But then likewise, in multiplayer, if you're choosing to do some BTCC racing with, I don't know, the Hyundai or the Ford Focus, if you stick in your Ford Focus and you do laps and laps and laps, loads of racing online, you get that car to level 30 or 50, whatever, that then should mean you've unlocked all the other upgrades for your other vehicles. So even by playing online, you're unlocking stuff. I think that's the way this game should go about doing it. But the big issue with this criticism is, are Forza going to go away and revamp or tweak this system? Because there is definitely a chance for them to do that. Now, there's two sides of the argument here. One is, yes, they go away and do that because at the end of the day, there is criticism for the game. If people are turning away and not playing it, they need to do something in order to keep that player base and bring them back. But secondly, as far as I'm aware, there are achievements tied to this game's brand new leveling up system. I think it's like 5 cars to level 50. I think that's one achievement. Or like reach max affinity with an entire car manufacturer and get a car for a discount. I think there are achievements that are labeled and tied to specific gameplay elements that I don't know if they're going to be able to change. So, what does that mean going forward? Well, unfortunately, it doesn't seem, on the face of it, that there is much scope for change. Despite the fact, I think everyone and their dog has sort of asked for some sort of tweak to this system, because even for someone like myself who doesn't mind the system, I know it's not perfect and I need it to be changed. And then for those who are on the other complete side of the spectrum that are absolutely furious with this system, well, some of those players could very well be new players who want to play Forza for the first time, or returning players to the franchise. And either way, you're going to be pushing those players away. So this is where Forza has been left with a tricky situation, and I hope that they do tweak or change something about this. If you remember back in Forza Motorsport 7, when that game launched, the controversy for that title was that the VIP system worked differently in that game. You got allocated tokens where you could only have VIP for like 25 races and you could choose to activate them. And then because of the backlash, they were like, we're very sorry, that's a terrible system. If you have VIP, you just get your double bonuses for every race that you do, which is what this game now does. So, are Forza going to actually do something about this? The short answer is, I have absolutely no idea. But surely they should at least acknowledge the backlash and hopefully they can make a tweak to this system. Because at the end of the day, I want this game to do good. I like Forza Motorsport. I like Gran Turismo. I like all sorts of simcade racing games, whether it be serious, sim racing, or as I mentioned, arcade sim sort of racing, simcade. So I'm really curious to know what you guys think of my alternative. What would you think of a new system that would be, instead of leveling up for every car individually, you have it for each individual car class? I think that would be a better alternative. You get your progression and it's not too grindy. So, who knows. But thank you very much for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you like these sort of discussion videos, I'll do more of them on the channel because they're quite fun to make. I love sort of talking with you guys and engaging with what your opinions are, because at the end of the day, we're the consumers, we're the ones that are playing these games, and our opinion arguably matters the most, because at the end of the day, we're the ones investing our money and putting it into the pockets of all these big companies. So thank you very much for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and all that good stuff. But until then, goodbye.